Hello and welcome back to Steve's Tesla. I participated recently in the Electrify 2515 EV Open Day, and the committee asked me to do a presentation about what it's like to own an electric vehicle. So this is what I had to say. Hello everyone, hope you can hear me. My name's Steve, and I just wanted to share with you that I'm a recovering ICE user. And what I mean by that is internal combustion engine driver. All my life, like yourselves, I've been driving petrol cars and motorbikes. And it was in 2021 I decided that it was time to get an electric vehicle. And at the time I thought, well, I'm going to get myself a Tesla. They look pretty popular. I hadn't test driven a Tesla, but I'd seen a lot of YouTube clips and I figured, well, they've sold a couple of million, so they can't be that bad. So I went and bought a Tesla Model 3. And for the first couple of years, I was absolutely happy with it. And I was never unhappy with it, but what I found was that my lifestyle, where I'm trying to put electric bikes on the back, and I carry a motorbike from time to time, I really needed a good solid car with a tow bar, and I needed a big hatchback to throw tools and stuff like that into the back of it. So I decided to make the plunge 6 to 9 months ago and traded that in. I sold it to a friend and got a Tesla Model Y. It's a boy! And that's sitting outside there, and you're welcome to come and have a look at it. Now, really the first question everyone asks me about electric vehicles is, well, how much range do you get? How far does it go? And what I found when I first bought the electric car is it's one of the first things you stop worrying about. That is, unless you're commuting to Sydney every day. Now, you've got some challenges if you do that, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But if you're like the average Australian driver, certainly myself, I do about 50 kilometres a day just puttering around town. I go to Woolies for the groceries, I'll go up to Coldcliff, I'll pop into Wollongong and do something like that. So I might do 50 or 100 kilometres a day, and you just need to change your mindset from being a petrol user where you go to the service station probably once a week and you fill the tank, or maybe once every fortnight and you get 600 kilometres out of your petrol car, to changing your mindset to using your electric vehicle as if it's like a mobile phone. You use it during the day, at the end of the day you plug it in, it charges up overnight. And that's literally what I do with my electric car. I just plug it in every time I come home. It's what I call the ABCs of charging. That's always be charging. So you just literally plug it in all the time. Now, of course, if you're doing a commute to Sydney or doing long distances every day, you do have a bit more of an issue. And you definitely want a car that's going to be able to do probably 300 kilometres range minimum if you're going to be doing a lot of Sydney trips. Also, if you're regularly doing long distances, you are going to need probably a faster charger at home. What I do, I live in this building over here, I just use the standard 10 amp 3-pin plug in my garage, and I just trickle charge the thing whenever I'm not using it. We're fortunate enough to have solar panels on the roof over here, and my solar panels feed down into my garage, so my solar feeds my car when I'm not using it during the day. And I've worked out that very roughly it costs me about 3 cents a kilometre, different metrics to what Denise was looking at, but per kilometre, about 3 cents a kilometre to drive my electric car. It's not totally free because I do charge it up sometimes at night. However, I think if you do the maths on running a petrol car, it's going to be costing you probably 50 or 60 cents per kilometre, just for the petrol, disregarding service, disregarding all of those other things. So that's, I think, one of the things you need to just realise, because I think that there are some stories out there that if you buy an electric car, you've got to spend $2,000, you've got to put a 3-phase charger in your garage, and you need a big box on the wall to charge your car. Now, you absolutely need that if you're going to be commuting to Sydney every day. But if you're just running around town like many of us do, you really just can charge it from your plug in your garage. Now, I appreciate not everyone's got a garage with a plug. Some people don't have off-street parking. Now you've got a particular challenge there. So you will have to go to a public charger probably a couple of times a week and be there for 45 minutes, put 200 or 300 kilometres onto your car, run around for the next 3 or 4 days, then go and charge it up again. That's if you don't have charging at home. So I thought I'd share the service costs. The Tesla Model Y, which I have, it's got a service schedule in the manual, and it tells you that other than tyres and wiper blades that you just replace when you need to, the first service is at 2 years, and at the 2-year mark you need to go and get your brake fluid checked, and at the 3-year mark they change the air conditioning filter, and that's all of the servicing that I've got for the first 3 years. I think at the 4-year mark there's, you know, they tell you to look at the brake pads and stuff like that, but that's literally what you're up against. My old petrol car, the Mazda, every 10,000 kilometres it was into Dwyer's, and it would probably cost about $300 or $400 plus parts and things. So that was probably twice a year. So I estimate that with fuel cost savings and service savings, I'm probably saving in the order of $3,000 or $4,000 a year by running an electric vehicle. That's my estimate. If you happen to be looking at a Tesla, one of the things that the car itself will do is when you get to about 100 kilometres of range left, a little message pops up on the screen and it'll tell you the nearest charger is over here or it's over there. Do you want me to route you there now? And you go, yes, and you just take a 10k detour and you go and charge up. So you don't have to use apps or fret and worry about where you go for charging. If you're not driving a Tesla, then I highly recommend you look at a software app for your phone called PlugShare. And what PlugShare is, as the name suggests, sort of a map that shows you where all of the charging stations are. And one of the tricks I've found is if you filter out, because there's little buttons you can control things with, if you filter out the slow charges, so it only shows you the fast charges, because you probably don't want to go to a mall for 4 hours and charge on a slow one. It'll just populate the map with all of the charges that are on the route where you're travelling, and you can find the nearest non-Tesla charger. And there are just so many appearing now. BP are putting chargers in just about every one of their stations over time. I know Ampol are installing chargers around town. There's a couple of chargers with the brand EVIE in the mall at the moment. And Shell Harbour, you've got ChargeFox. So you do need to download a few apps for your phone because you have to set up an account for each one of these different chargers. But when you've done it once, then when you go to one of these chargers, you just turn up, plug your car in, scan the code, and it charges your credit card. So you're up and running. So I would say for the East Coast, you can relax about charging. If you're doing a trip to Broken Hill, I think you still need to do a bit of work, just planning how you're going to get there. But time will solve that. So really the last thing I just wanted to say is range efficiency. On the trip to Noosa, we took a couple of e-bikes on the back of the Tesla Model Y with a bike rack, and we did find that the wind resistance did lower the range by about 20%. So we probably had to do one extra stop a day to charge. But really that's all I had to say. Thank you very much for listening. G'day and welcome to Steve's Tesla. This is my channel dedicated to electric vehicles and renewable energy. Subscribe now and let's drive.